Oh, what's good, everybody? Welcome into the Coach and Bro Show. And you guys are in for a very, very special day. This is our live recording of the fastest growing pro wrestling show in the Stadium Universe. We are on Prime Video, DirecTV, YouTube TV. The list goes on and on, available in over 100 million homes. And we do it live right here. If you want to be a part of it, you can. More on that coming up in a matter of moments. But you guys know I don't do this show by myself. Oh, no, no, no. The man whose favorite baseball team just made a gigantic blockbuster trade, Vince Russo. How are you feeling today, sir? I'm excited for you.
Coach, what a Father's Day. Forget my kids. Forget my kids. When I got that Rafi Devers news right before the Giant-Dodger game on ESPN, man, I had to go back and double and triple check because, Coach, I could not believe it. That may be the biggest steal in the history of Major League Baseball.
For your team.
Yes.
Not for the. Yes.
Oh, God.
Hey, you were the first person I thought of. I was like, holy.
Yes.
Do you see the video? He was on the plane.
Yes.
They take him off the plane, put him in a cab. They couldn't even get him a car service. Couldn't even get him a car service. What are we doing? What are we doing? But I thought of you. I was like, man, Vince has got to be happy. Your team's right there in the race. And my goodness. This is awesome.
Yes.
Well, when a $250 million player is unhappy, you got to get him hell out of Dodge. So congratulations to you. This is my favorite day of the week. We had Coach coming this morning on Stadium. This is our live recording of our big Stadium show. But tell the good people how they can be a part of the show right here on YouTube and social media.
Yeah, guys, we encourage you to be a part of this conversation, and you could do that through a super sticker or a donation, and Coach and I will bring your comment right up on the screen, and we will address it for you.
Because we are recording a network show, here's how we have to do it, and you guys have been absolutely amazing. At every break, we'll hit on these super stickers. So if you put one in the first 15 minutes, we'll get to that at the end of the 15 minutes. So don't worry about it. We will get to as many and hopefully all of them as we can. But Vince, there are a ton of topics. So are you ready to get started?
I am ready to roll, man.
Here we go. Producer, man, if you don't mind, roll the tape. What is up, BTT Universe? It is your boy, the Coach. Welcome into the fastest growing show and pro wrestling show in the Stadium Universe. We are all over the place. Amazon Prime Video, DirecTV, YouTube TV. The list goes on and on. Now, if you're looking for a breakdown of every single segment on Monday Night Raw, you've come to the wrong place. We talk about the business of sports, the bigger topics in pro wrestling, And I got to do it with one of the great minds, one of the great writers, if not the greatest writer in the history of the business. Of course, I'm talking about my good friend and my nemesis, because sometimes we disagree, the great Vince Russo. Good morning, sir.
What is going on, Coach? A lot going on out there to discuss today. A lot. I can't wait to get into the topics you have planned.
We do. We're going to jump right in because we talked last week after Jay Uso lost on Monday night. 51 days was his title reign. And we've been led to believe that the World Heavyweight Championship, Vince, is the most important thing. And coming up in about 30 minutes, we're talking Cody Rhodes, we're talking R-Truth, we're talking John Cena. But Jay Uso's been the guy, Vince. And I was a little shocked that they put it back on Gunther after 51 days. First and foremost, does it lessen the title reign because it was so short and he was beaten by the same man that tying it all together. You know what I mean? Does it lessen it for you?
I don't know if it lessens the title reign, Coach. I think it hurts Jay Uso. And that's why I really want to get into this. I want to get into Rikkishi's comments. Coach, I just want to say this up front because I think there are a lot of people that really don't understand me. When there are shows like this, a lot of these shows consist of wrestlers that were in the business or people that had an on-air role in the business or maybe even behind the scenes. Coach, people need to understand there are very few writers in the wrestling business.
Correct.
I was one of them. So people really need to understand that my perspective 100% of the time comes from a writing point of view. So it's going to be different from a lot of other people because I'm strictly looking at it, the writing of it. I just want people to understand that because that's going to come into play when we talk about Jay Uso.
And I'm glad you said that because we're actively working and we'll roll it out hopefully by next week because I want to make sure that it looks great. But we're going to have a whole segment on the show where we talk about what's going on and then how you would change it from a writing perspective because we want to make fans smarter, not just, oh, I don't like it, so they can be negative in their own houses. We want to make people smarter here, and that's what we're going to do. So we've got that segment coming up in the next week or two. It's going to be awesome. But speaking of Rikkishi, and he has, over the last several months, taken accordingly shots at us because we had our opinions about Jay Uso and whether or not he could be the guy. And I felt like I love Jay Uso. I love the vibe. I love the entrance and all that. But clearly, TKO also did not think that it was in their best interest to have him be the world heavyweight champion for a very long period of time, which is what they normally do. You know they love Vince to go 462 days they've been the champion. So here's Rikkishi on his own podcast talking about Jay Uso being stripped of the World Heavyweight Championship, and best believe he ain't happy about it.
Run as the world champion. I didn't think it was justice. I didn't think it was fair. 51 days, that was it. I mean, in a Continental Belt. A short run. That was it. Like, what is it? What is it against my boy that you just feel?
All right, so he doesn't agree that they take it off of him. And he's been very vocal. And he went on to say, it was a long segment, Vince, but he looks at it from a merch standpoint, from a crowd reaction standpoint, and everybody looks at it differently. You just said from a writer standpoint. So from a writer standpoint, was it the right move to take that world heavyweight title off of Jay Uso?
Coach, I want to say this. A couple of months ago when Jay Uso won the Intercontinental title, as a writer, I refer to that title as a prop because it is. It's a television show. The title's a prop. Bro, Rikkishi was ready to fight me.
Yeah, he was.
Literally fight me. However, I want to say in this case, Coach, I agree 1,000% with
Tell
him.
me why. Tell me why.
I will tell you why. First of all, this is going to hurt Jay Uso. I'm not even talking about his on-air character. He's always going to have the yeet. He's always going to have that entrance. That's over. I'm talking about his psyche, his mental, his emotion. This is going to affect him. Now, here's where I agree with Rikkishi, and this goes into the writing end of it, Coach.
Okay.
Coach, when you decide you're going to put this title on Jay Uso, you are making a huge commitment. This is a major title. You can make a mistake with the Intercontinental, the U.S. title. This is a major title. So you're making the commitment to put that title on him. So, Coach, I think what happened again, and we're seeing this again and again and again, that internet wrestling community started to turn against Jay a little bit. And what happened? Next thing we know, after 51 days, the title is off of Jay. If you are going to make that type of commitment to him, you have to roll with this guy. And I got to tell you, man, I agree with Rikkishi. And can I just give my 2 cents if I'm writing this? Because here's where I think Hunter falls short. And it's not personal, it's creative. If I'm Hunter and I'm watching that promo, now the light bulb's going off in my head. And I got to tell you, these Samoans have one thing in common, Coach. They're cool. They're cool. Solo Sikoa, I think, is killing it. Solo's cool. Fatu is cool off the charts. Jay is cool. Jimmy's cool. Roman's cool. If I'm Triple H and I see Rikkishi, guess what I'm doing? I'm gathering all those Samoans, baby faces and heels, and I'm bringing Rikkishi in to manage that group. In my opinion, it should have never been Heyman with the bloodline in the first place. It should have been Rikkishi. I think Heyman got there because of politics, but this is where I think they missed the mark. If I'm watching this as a writer, I am on the phone with Rikkishi immediately. Brother, here's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking?
It's interesting that you say that, because in the podcast that we just played that clip from, he talked about person by person by person in the bloodline and what they have done for the business. That during COVID, who was it that propped up the business inside the bubble? It was the bloodline. It was all those sides. Sometimes you've got to lean into it, just like they did with the R-Truth situation that we'll get to in about 10 minutes, is sometimes you can make a decision and it may not land correctly. And Vince, when they were deciding that Jay Uso would win the Royal Rumble, and they were deciding that he'd become the world heavyweight champion, it wasn't just putting a normal singles wrestler up there. This was a guy that for over 10 years, well over 10 years, was a tag team stalwart. And when you're a tag team, it'd be like, the Dudley boys are saying, hey, Devon, you're going to become the world heavyweight champion. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome there because they're always thought of as a tag team wrestler. And so when you do that, you've got to stick with it. And there's so many other decisions that they make that they stick with that make us scratch our heads. But this one, they decide not to. I would love to know their thought process of putting it back on a guy that I've been very, very, very overt about, that I just don't find very entertaining. I think he's tough, but I don't find Gunther entertaining. And that's the decision you're going to go with. I would love to know. Maybe we'll see it on Unreal. Maybe in this new show, we'll see that. You think they'll take us that far into it?
Well, we saw that clip. Remember, we saw the clip of Hunter telling Jay that they were going to strap a rocket on his back. We saw that clip. And like I said, Coach, I think the worst thing coming out of this is the psyche of Jay Uso. You are going to rattle and shake this dude's confidence. And like I said, man, if you're going to commit to something this big, you got to commit to it, Coach.
They are, for people that are not quite understanding what Vince is saying, when you're a top flight star, you got to have 5-star matches. You can't have an off night on Raw or SmackDown. And if you're questioning your abilities because they've just taken something off of you, well, you may go out there and have a dud. You may go out there and just be, you're a half a step behind. And it'd be like playing baseball. If you're a half step behind, that ball's already in the catcher's glove. It just is. Now, it was several years ago that the WWE, Vince, and Triple H decided we're going to make the World Heavyweight Championship the most important thing. And to this day, Vince, it's supposed to be that. In fact, Chris Jericho, who was a part of it that night at WrestleMania in Toronto when they went after The Rock and Hulk Hogan, he just did a podcast this week, and he talked about that night and the decision that in his mind and in his words was the wrong one. Roll tape.
Yeah, let's be honest. Main event, in the fact it was on last. But the main event of the show was Hogan and Rock. And I knew it. And I was actually, most people would be pitching to have their match on last. I was pitching for it not to go on last. Because I said, how do you follow Hogan and Rock? And Triple H, and probably, rightfully so, was fighting for the title match to be last. But we couldn't follow it. We just couldn't. And you could see the air go out of the room. That's a match I've never watched it back because I remember being kind of disappointed in it. Main event of WrestleMania. And I remember talking with CM Punk years later, and one of his big reasons why he left wrestling was he was really mad that he wasn't the main event of WrestleMania. He wasn't on last. I said, dude, you worked with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. That's the main event. Like any Taker matches, he goes, you can't say that because you were on last. And I'm like, okay, I was on last.
And Vince, I was a part of that night. Me and The Rock had one of our most memorable skits ever before Rock Hogan. I remember standing on the floor saying, this is the biggest mistake that Vince McMahon has ever made. But Triple H was pushing him to do it. And all of these years later, the World Heavyweight title is still under heat, under discussion.
Yeah, Coach, it's funny. I love what Jericho was saying about the importance for CM Punk to be on last. I never understood that, man, because it's all how you stack the card. And what you're supposed to do, coach, is as a writer, you're building that card. And you've got to be very, very careful. Jericho talks about it in what your main eventers are following. Like if I know Mick Foley is out there with Chris Jericho and they're going to tear down the house, you're thinking of who's following that, because you don't want to bury somebody when you know they're never going to be able to go out there and top what Mick did. And that's exactly what Jericho was talking about. And his instincts that night were 100% correct.
And it's interesting that he's never gone back and watched it. And there are shows that I do that too. I'm like, man, I don't want to go watch that because it makes me feel uncomfortable. I remember that night getting in the limo, going back to the hotel, and everybody that was in the car was saying the same thing. Like, why would we ever do that? These are the two biggest rock stars at that time in the history of the business. And they still decided to put them on afterwards. So that's one of the things I love about Jericho too, is that he's a great interview. He's honest. And he also thinks he's the best in the world to this day. And that's what every wrestler should feel like, shouldn't they?
Yeah. And again, just the idea of main eventing. Man, if you're in WrestleMania, you've made it. I don't care where you are on the card, how many people can say they were a part of a WrestleMania. You've made it if you're on the card. I think the main event, I think that's way overrated, Coach.
But Vince, I got to ask you this. Does it matter if you're on night 1 or night 2?
Don't get me started, because you're gonna be giving me this. You're gonna get me started. Don't bring me down that road, Coach.
Well, we're just getting started here on the Coach and Bro Show. Coming up on the other side, R-Truth is not only back, but he's in a main vital storyline. What does that mean? And my man Vince Russo has a Smackdown conspiracy that I haven't even heard yet. You'll get that on the other side. Then at the bottom of the hour, we've got WWE partnering with a lot of different places. Does it make sense? And also Cody Rhodes making his major motion picture debut. What does he look like? All that coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where you want to be every single Wednesday night. It's the Coach and Bro Show right here on Stadium. All right, you crazy kids out there, we got several super stickers that we've got to get to. Vince, let's start with we love Nonsense McGee. Yo, Coach and Bro, premium member, thank you. George Alvarez, premium member. Rikkishi has been getting grilled on social media. The IWC is memeing him so hard now. Then Ross the Boss, Vince, would Rock and his writers make the shows better? Of course, that'd be Brian. What do you think?
Well, yes. I do think so, because again, please, this is not a knock on Triple H. He is not a writer. Coach, can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
For the first time yesterday, because I couldn't watch it, because I knew it was going to be emotional for me, I watched the Bray Wyatt documentary yesterday.
Okay.
Coach, I am going to say this after watching the documentary. The decision to release Bray Wyatt is the equivalent right now of the Yankees cutting Aaron Judge. Everybody should have been fired over that decision. I watch this and we get into, he's difficult to deal with. We get into all these things when you have a guy like a Karrion Kross, like a Warrior, like a Raven, that is so above your pay grade intellectually that, they're difficult to deal with. I'm watching this thing played out and I'm like, they let this guy go. Cut Aaron Judge. It would be the same exact thing, Coach.
I deal with it all the time on projects that I won't use names, but when I think it's easy for people who aren't creative, that like to sit back and just collect their paycheck. They like to tag people that. Yes. Because if you're questioning or you're challenging something or an idea, then you're being difficult. No, it's not. You're trying to get the most out of your character and that around you. that's who Bray Wyatt was.
Yeah.
He questioned everything and wanted his character to be the best.
And coach, with something like that, when you're working around this guy and you start understanding him, it's this simple. If you're a Triple H, Bray, what do you want to do? It's that simple. Then he tells you what he wants to do. You try to make it happen. But when you know you can't match this guy's intellect, you're going to try to go toe-to-toe of what's good and what's not good. Bro, that blew me away watching that last night.
It's true. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, go ahead and go watch it. We got a brand new premium member, Kimberly. Thank you, Kimberly, for being a premium member. Loving every second of this take. What would it hurt to bring in the Hall of Famer? Rikkishi wouldn't hurt anything, I don't think.
Nothing.
It would help. It would help. You need an OG in the bloodline. I think that's the difference what you're talking about. All right, one more. Max Steel, Rikkishi. Jay's hair was out of place for entrance. Why does the WWE hate him? I mean, I don't know if the WWE hates him. I just think that those are just kind of details that people pick apart. And I'm not saying, Max, that you're wrong, but you got to remember you're walking all the way up. It could have been, sometimes especially when you're doing the entrance, Vince, from up top, you're late getting there. I've done that before where the elevator doesn't work. And all of a sudden they hit the music. So it could have been a lot of things. And one more, viral moments. How about a $20 super sticker, Vince?
Very nice. Thank you.
Can I get both of your thoughts about Mercedes belt collector gimmick? Should we buy the hype? That's coming from Mike.
I don't know exactly what he means about the hype.
She walks around with all the belts all the time.
Right.
And he's saying, I think what he's saying is there enough hype around her to believe that she's the most dominant women's champion of all time?
There isn't, to be honest. But again, she's doing her part. That's on Tony Khan and Creative. They've got to make you believe that. She's doing it. She's seeing it through. But I just don't think they're giving her the support she needs.
I agree. Okay, we're about to do segment number 2. If you have a super sticker in the next 12 minutes, we'll get to it in the second break. So keep those super stickers coming in and any questions that you might have or comments as well, especially if you're a premium member. We're going to be adding more premium content very soon as well, so you want to do that. It's worth every single dime, I promise you. All right, let's get back into it. All right, welcome back, everybody, into Coach and Bro here on the Stadium Network. Do not forget, every single Wednesday, but also, if you're an early riser, you can catch our repeated episode on Thursday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, Vince, I've been a little bit surprised, I'll be honest with you, that R-Truth goes from getting cut and he's no longer going to be in the WWE to let's bring him back. Let's have him be involved in the tag team main event at Saturday night's main event. Now he attacks John Cena on Smackdown again, and now Ron Killings is going to have a match with John Cena. If you would have told me that when he was released, what would have been the odds that we would be here only a week and a half later?
Yeah, it's funny, Coach, because I always think back. I'll never forget. She said this a couple of years ago. Stephanie McMahon made the comment that they write the shows 52 weeks in advance. and when I'm seeing stuff like this, I'm like, just don't say stuff that's not true. It's that simple. But, again, Coach, I'm watching this stuff. I have a very open mind. I like they went away from the norm on SmackDown where, Cena went out and called out R-Truth. They haven't done anything like that in a while. So it was refreshing to see. But again, Coach, I just keep asking myself the question, okay, where you guys going to go with this? If you're going someplace with it, fine. If it's just going to be 2 attacks every show, it's going to get old real soon.
Well, I have put Dirt Sheet Dan on the trail. He's a brand new character we're going to have here at the show. He's called Dirt Sheet Dan. And I've sent him out into the world, Vince. And I said, you got to find out if this rumor is true. Because we've been reading on the Dirt Sheets that we hate so much that R-Truth or Ron Killings and who's the rapper that's supposed to be training? Travis Scott. Yes. That Travis Scott, Ron Killings, Cody, Cena, that's going to be a 3-on-3 6-man tag at SummerSlam. But I've heard rumors, Vince, that Travis Scott either My guess is he started training and was like, oh, hell to the no. I'm not doing this. That's my guess. He weighs $150. It seems so long ago, right, when he came back through the curtain. Man, I love that. Yeah, you love belting Cody in the ear. You don't like being on the other side of it, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm guessing.
And especially, Coach, come on. If you're being trained by Booker T ain't going to be starstruck. Booker T is going to see if you have it in you and if you're going to take this seriously. Booker is old school, so I tend to believe that rumor.
So here's also the deal. When I watched R-Truth come back with the hoodie at Saturday night's main event, and there was all of these fans that post the stuff, I actually find them entertaining. You know, when the person will be on the bottom, then you'll see, or vice versa, and you'll see the video, and then they'll react. All the reaction was like, holy cow. Then they had Big E. He was sitting on the stage like, oh, my goodness, that's the right thing to do. But, Vince, I've been in a lot of very kayfabe moments or matches or skits that nobody else knew what was going on. But I've never been or heard of a match where the people involved did not know. So here is Logan Paul on his own podcast, Impulsive, talking about that particular night, that particular match. Producer man.
No one told me R-Truth was coming. I'm sitting there just, selling, but not selling because the shit's real and it all hurts so bad. Out of nowhere comes fucking R-Truth, who I thought was fired. Bro, I'm sitting there and he comes back. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing here?
You became a fan
yes,
for a second?
Yes, in the moment, dude. I'm selling. I'm like, oh. And then he hit John and we lost the match.
Second, that Logan Paul, that right when they were in gorilla position going out, they didn't give him the Iggy, that R-Truth was going to be a part of the finish of the match?
Coach, I got to tell you this, man. It's usually taboo to kayfabe talent.
Yes.
It's usually a no-no, especially in the middle of a match. Like, I've never heard that before in my life, but I got to tell you, either he's a great actor or he didn't know, because the way he's coming across, I absolutely believe it. And like I said, you don't kayfabe talent, but during a match.
But let me tell you this: if he didn't know R-Truth was coming, and R-Truth came in with a hoodie on, do you know how many times a random fan has jumped the thing and ran into the ring and got their ass handed to him? So if he didn't know, and you see somebody come in with a hoodie on, what are you thinking? If he truly, that's where my mind went. I was like, yeah, those guys would get up and tackle him if they didn't know.
Yeah.
That's why I partly believe him. I partly don't. It was right after he did that moonsault onto the announce table, which was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
It was so filthy. But I'm on the fence on this one, Vince. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I'm on the fence.
Well, like I said, if he's working, he needs to get an Academy Award, because he's doing a great job if he's working. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Hasn't it been cool to have him back on a consistent basis?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For the first time ever.
Absolutely.
But Smackdown is what it is, Vince. And I know, because you and I, we text all the time. And from time to time, you come up with conspiracy theories. And you... Fascinating. Now, I know on Smackdown, you are locked and loaded with your latest. Where are you heading this week, sir?
Coach, nobody is talking about this. And I saw it the moment that it happened.
Oh my God, I'm literally very excited. I have no idea what you're going to say.
Did you watch SmackDown?
It's parts of it.
Okay, there's layers. There's layers to this.
Okay.
And again, Coach, please understand a writer's perspective, guys. Please understand, because I'm thinking about what they should have done.
Okay.
We know that Charlotte and Alexa are in a little bit of an angle.
Yep.
So we go to this four-way with the winner advancing to King of the Ring. There's a double cover spot. Okay, it's actually Alexa's got one woman covered. Charlotte's got the other woman in a submission. At the same time, Rudy Charles, the referee, is right there. When you watch Rudy, he's looking, he's hesitating, and he's counting the 1, 2, 3. Okay?
Okay.
Now, here's the first thing that happens. We go to the announcers and they tell us, is it Alba Fire? Is it Alba? Alba?
Yeah, I think so.
Fire.
Producer man, help me out with that.
Alba Fire, Ilba Fire, whatever. The announcers tell you Iber Fire. Bro, she submitted after the 1, 2, 3. Now, first of all, bro, number one, they never shot that. You never saw that. Number two, coach, there was no replay of it. Number three, after the finish, it was very kabuki-ish between Charlotte and Alexa. Like they almost didn't know how to react. Here's the conspiracy theory. Two things. Either Alba Fire messed up and the timing was not correct where she tapped the same as the 1, 2, 3. Because, coach, let's face it, from a writer's perspective, it should have been the 1, 2, 3 the same time as the tap. Now they have to have a match to see who goes forward. So Rudy's waiting. He doesn't get the tap. He does his job and does the 1, 2, 3. So either Fire messed up and missed the cue, or they screwed Charlotte.
Wait a second. So you think that they pulled a mini Bret Hart situation?
Coach, Coach, again, I look at everything as a writer's perspective. Coach, they do everything to fill time.
100%.
Bro, you've got another week. You've got more programming if Alexa Bliss and Charlotte have a match to determine that's a main event. That's a main event on the show. It was supposed to be a double 1, 2, 3 and the tap out at the same time. So either she messed up or everyone was in on it. And
except Charlotte.
Guys, listen to me watching this show.
Okay.
Go back and watch it. There was never a replay. The announcers had to tell us what happened. The way it was shot, you never saw her tap late. Look at the expression on Charlotte's face and Alexa Bliss's face, and then you tell me.
All I know is that when we have a tendency to talk about big topics here on the show, for about a week, we're told we're idiots. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait a second. Those guys might be onto something. Oh, wait. And to think the way that Charlotte has been booked since the Royal Rumble, it's not that far out of the realm of possibility because she has not, I don't think, had the impact that they thought she was going to have. And rumors are that she's been difficult to work with. She wanted her own area. All that stuff comes into play. If that is true, and they still need her to be a part of this kind of stuff, it's not that crazy to think that they could do that.
Coach, if this is a timing issue and we get the 1, 2, 3 and then Fire taps a split second after that, you're showing the replay.
100%.
No replay whatsoever. And coach, I'm telling you, I felt this while I was watching it. I felt this immediately looking at Rudy when he kept looking, and it was almost like, I've got to count.
Got to do it, or he looks like an idiot.
Yeah, so again, I just suggest you go back and watch the finish of that. Everybody listening and watching this show, draw your own conclusion, but I smell a rat.
Every time there's ever been a we got about 60 seconds left. Every time there's always been a situation where they do something very cool like that, you got to have talent that know what the hell they're doing. Because to me, you practice that in the afternoon over and over and over and over again. You have to, because it's got to be boom, boom, boom. There's been issues with the Royal Rumble and feet touch, all that kind of stuff. It's awesome when you can pull it off. But when you don't, it makes those like the referee look stupid. And you don't want that to happen. That's interesting. I'm going to have to think about that now. I have to go back and watch those clips. The Smackdown conspiracy theory, courtesy of Vince Russo. All right, so coming up on the other side, we're about halfway home here on the Coach and Bro Show. Ticket prices going through the roof. We're going to show you actual proof Monday Night Raw in Pittsburgh. Are you kidding me? In 2 weeks. And also WWE, they're really partnering with a lot of people. Does it make sense? We'll discuss on the other side. This is the Coach and Bro Show, as always, right here on Stadium. All right, you good people. We've got some more comments coming through. Vince, by the way, we have, it's not a super sticker, but if you tune in for us from Austria, guess what? We'll read you on the show.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, I absolutely love Austria, the world over. I'm telling you right now. How about Nonsense McGee, a little $10 super sticker? He says AEW is getting sued by a crew member being shoved to the ground, injured during a match. Moxley went off script. Had this sort of thing happened during Attitude Era, what would Vince have done to Mox? That was a topic we're going to try to get in at the end of the show. Have you seen the video yet, Vince?
I have not, Coach. I have not.
So essentially, it's there's like there was a steel cage around the ring. He's on the outside closest to the ramp, and he goes over and inexplicably, have no reason whatsoever, just jacks one of the camera guys or one of the tech guys, he just goes flying. And it's only like an 8 or 10 second clip. Absolute made no sense for Moxley to. I've never liked wrestlers beating up the camera guys or anything like that. Yeah. They're not there for that. But I know what Vince would have done. It wouldn't have gotten to a lawsuit. He would have written him a check, and that guy would have been like, all right, I'll take that $25,000. Let's move on. But the fact that Tony Khan either hasn't talked to this guy or it hasn't been settled is, to me, how you let it go this far, because it's very, very obvious.
Well, remember what we saw at WrestleMania with Austin and how quick Nick Khan was there? Remember that? Like that. But you blinked and Nick Khan was there, man.
They don't want to play. They don't like these lawsuits. I was a part of several. More and more they're frivolous, but you still got to at least address them and they get dismissed. But this one, Vince, you write this guy a check. When you see the video, you'd be like, okay, got it.
I agree. All
right, that's all the super stickers for right now. Keep them coming in. We get them at the break, so keep those coming as well. Somebody literally, Vince, just texted me what we were talking about. So it's the video's going viral. It was part of a steel cage match.
Yeah.
God, Moxley, what are you doing? What are you doing? It doesn't add anything to the match either. It really, really doesn't. All right, let's get back to it. Here we go in 3 and 2. Welcome back, everybody, to the Coach and Bro Show here on Stadium and all over the world, even in Austria, where the good people are watching us as well. So, Vince, the WWE made news several months ago about how they were going to partner with the likes of TNA. Then they made the big announcement in LA a couple of weeks ago, AAA. And I don't like to prejudge anybody, but you remember the picture when they were standing there in LA and it was Shawn Michaels and Triple H and the lady who runs AAA. I don't know her name, but it looked like it could have been a bad mafia movie. is what the picture. I was like, what are we doing? But they got a good reaction. The Iguana guy, by the way, is going to be brought straight to the main roster. Rumor is,
yes,
and I've got Dirt Sheet Dan all over this one, is because of merch sales. Apparently, he sells a ton of merch. So, first question, would you, as a writer, condone or push for a wrestler who was new to your company to get to the main roster simply because of merch sales?
No, not because of merch sales, but if I felt he had the it factor, definitely, without a doubt, I wouldn't hesitate. But Coach, you remember at TNA, Bobby Roode and James Storm, Beer Money. Mm-hmm. I remember it was time to break them up, and Dixie Carter didn't want to break them up because of merch sales. And I'm like, no, you never let merch sales dictate your show or creative. So I would not let that affect my decision. But if he's got the it factor, bring him up.
I thought he was interesting. I thought he was interesting, but for me, and maybe it's because wrestling is 52 weeks a year, I always look at it as how old will this get and how quickly will this gimmick get old? Because he wrestles with a fake iguana in his mouth, and he dresses up like an iguana. And wrestling fans, unless you're adding layers to your game or layers to your character, they get very, very quickly disillusioned, which I think is what we were talking about with the executives with Jay Uso, who is a yeet, yeet, yeet. Where's the layers? And I think with these AAA, and now the tag team champions who just won whatever night it was, Sunday or Monday, they're bringing those tag team titles, Vince, to WWE. How do you sell that as a writer, incorporating titles and belts from other organizations into the WWE?
You've got to explain that, Coach, because again, there are too many titles in the WWE to begin with. Now you're going to start adding other titles. If this is not explained and laid out, it's just going to become very, very confusing to the viewer. I don't mind it, but I think there are way too many titles. And I also believe, like I said, it's confusing if it's not explained properly.
Correct. We say, the TNA champion, especially when you're trying to get to the what I call the outlier fan. The hardcore fan's going to be there, but to grow the business, you want that random guy or that random lady who comes in and happens to say, wait a second, this is NXT. Why is TNA here? Or this is whatever. Why are they here? Go ahead.
And I want to use as an example because it was brilliant. This is coming from the guy who never puts anything over. It's brilliant. If you watch the opening segment of Smackdown, Cena laid everything out. And you know that was not written by a writer. That was all John Cena. He laid out the master plan in detail. If I'm a casual viewer tuning in for the first time, Coach, I got it. I got it. He did a magnificent job, but you know that came from him. The WWE needs to do more of that, Coach.
There's no doubt, but they have to trust the talent to do it as well. Because a lot of the talent, I would say there's probably less than 10 that have the ability to write their own promos. I always wrote my own, always. I've never, even when I was at Sports Center events or wherever I was, I wrote my own thing. When I would do studio shows, like Livewire on USA and all those shows, they would bring me a script. And by the time I was done with events, it was like just a hack job. Yeah. Because I have my own voice. It's the way I talk. It's the way I sell things. It's the way you pause. There's a level to it. And if you're just reading, and I think we talked about that with Lyra, is it felt like she was reading her promo, which she was in her head. You could see her almost thinking about it.
Yes.
And as a talent, you've got to be able to deliver it with pauses. Forget about the red light. Deliver it with pauses and feeling and meaning. That's how you become a great talent, like a John Cena.
Yes.
You also have Trick Williams. He just beat Joe Henry. And I still don't know for the life of me why Joe Henry is not a main roster guy when we see it, but the executives clearly think they have enough talent on both shows. To me, Joe Henry should be on Raw and or SmackDown every week, and Trick.
Coach, we've got a big topic we got to table till the next show because I'm starting to see more and more of this, and I'm really starting to question if it was pressure from Netflix executives. Oh. We are starting to see a transition of more and more established talent on Raw now than NXT talent. Now I hear they're bringing Trish back. We know Goldberg's, coming back. Yep. Well, Nikki Bella came back. I'm starting to believe Netflix may have said something about declining ratings, and the WWE, what's the way they always fix that?
Go to the legends.
Absolutely. And you're starting to see more and more of that. I think next show, man, we need to have a section to talk about that a little bit because I've been seeing that in the last couple of weeks.
I love that. We absolutely can do that because also Brie Bella kind of alluded to it on their podcast that she is also in discussions to come back. And you've got the big PLE Evolution, which can we please call it something different? You had one of your biggest factions called Evolution. All right, sorry. I need to get that. It doesn't make any sense to me. But with that, it makes sense to bring Trish back. Probably Lita too. The Bella twins. You got to have and then you have the new girls get the rub and maybe learn how to cut a promo. Maybe not that Nikki Bella is the greatest promo giver, but she's better than Lyra. Yeah. I know that. I know that. And then this week, speaking of kind of morphing talent together and titles and all that kind of stuff. Guess who did it again? Guess who stepped up onto a podcast and really set things right? Our girl, Chelsea Green. she was doing a podcast this week, and she was talking about taking vacation. She was talking about taking time off. And she said, I never want a day off. When WWE calls me and says, hey, are you sure you've been working a lot? She says, damn it, if I take a day off or I miss an opportunity, she goes, it took me too long to get here for me to then say, yeah, give me the month off, or yeah. And I was like, man, I wish every talent was like that, right? All these TNA talents, all these AAA talents, they should be telling themselves and the executives, book me on everything. You want appearances? Book me. Because Chelsea Green, who's an established star who just lost her title, wasn't complaining. She was like, I want to keep this stuff going. Keep me booked. And that's the way it was. It's this whole, by the way, Adam Pearce, the GM of Raw, he doesn't do house shows, does he?
I don't think so, does he?
No, the answer is no. He doesn't do house shows. He put out a video about the whole, this is official bullshit. And he was like, on what's happening on Raw. And he goes, by the way, I'm on vacation this week, so I won't be in Green Bay. I'm like, vacation? You work one day a week on the road. You're going to be on vacation? What is that?
Man, I remember a time where not only there was no vacation, Coach, but there was no sick. Vince said that directly to me. There is no sick.
I had Vince once fired somebody because I kid you not, this is true. They had a personal appearance and there was a blizzard that was scheduled to come in on Friday in their town in Baltimore. They had the appearance on Wednesday. It was a couple that was dating. The male says, I'm going home after the appearance. The female said, oh no, the blizzard's coming. We'll get fired. No, we won't. And the blizzard's not coming. They go home. They get stuck because of the blizzard. Both. Vince said, we knew it was coming. We would have paid for you to stay out. He wasn't buying the whole, because this is the wrestling business. People are buying tickets, and we're going to get into tickets here in a second. They're buying tickets, Vince, expecting stars to show up. And when you don't, it's not like a Major League Baseball game where you got 162 chances. If you're coming to Green Bay, Wisconsin, like this past Monday night, you're expecting to see the biggest stars show up because you only come once a year.
Yeah.
You got to think like that. And that's how Chelsea Green thinks. And that's how a lot of talent thinks. But the other part of this is, and by the way, Vince, all week I've been getting quoted. The reason we're creating Dirt Sheet Dan is that, did you see this? I was quoted as Coach said on the Coach and Bro show that TKO is going to renegotiate Roman Reigns' salary. A, I've never said that. B, I said based off of what they do, it would make sense at $15 million a year and being part-time. Right. It's common sense. Right. I never said Nick Khan called me and said they're going to do it. No, I didn't say it. But they write it as if so they can blame somebody if it doesn't happen. Don't care, whatever. But at this point, it just makes a lot of sense. If you're a talent and you're working part-time, I'm walking in, Vince, aren't you? And saying, work me more. I don't want to be in a situation they can cut me at the knees like Ron Killings.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Coach, it may be a little different if you have a family. Like, that might be a little different. But in Chelsea's case, we know she's married. We know they don't have any children. We know that, the wrestling is her life right now. So absolutely, positively, man, you gotta be hungry, man. You got to show them that you want it and you want to be on everything.
It's funny, as soon as I say, Chelsea would never take vacation, producer man sends me a tweet where she says, sorry, Lexington, can't make it. And she's by the pool drinking a Mai Tai on vacation.
Yeah, however, they weave that into the show where she was on the phone. She was on her phone.
Don't we say that all the time? You can't send a video. We said about The Rock.
Yes.
You can't be, if you're going to be at your movie, send in a video.
Yep.
It's TV.
Yes.
It's TV. People at home don't know if you're there or not.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, very interesting. All right. Still to come here on the Coach and Bro Show. We've talked about ticket prices and what's going on with TKO. It's gotten completely out of control, and we're going to show you exactly what we are talking about. Also, there's a lot of WWE talent that are becoming movie stars or getting bit parts in movies. Cody Rhodes is the very latest in a remake of one of my favorites. Does he make a good movie star? We'll discuss it on the other side. There is no place else every single Wednesday night that you should be if you want all of the tea and the credibility from the world of pro wrestling. Excuse me. It's the Coach and Bro Show right here, as always, on Stadium. All right, you crazy kids, we've got more super stickers. Vince, viral moments, a $20 super sticker. Thank you very much. That'll take you right to the top.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the Max gimmick and title run is one of the worst of any champion ever. Also, Adam Page doesn't feel like a superstar. Is he the right choice going forward after Mox? I'll take the Adam Page stuff. Vince, just like I said with Alexa Bliss at one point, and you've taught me in the last year, it's got to be about reality-based booking.
Yeah.
And when you are so tiny and so small, how are you booked in a world title or a women's title match when the size difference is so gigantic? Adam Page, I don't know if he got sick. I don't know what the case was, but when he went away, he came back. He was like $170 or $180. It doesn't make sense to me. What about you?
Yeah, again, Coach, because you and I, no matter what, we are always going to look at the masses. That is business, Coach. You want as many people to watch as possible. That's not what they're doing in wrestling today. They are catering to an audience that is a niche audience. And that niche audience wants to see Adam Page. That niche audience wants to see Moxley. That's why you're getting that.
Jeez. Viral moments. We'll go right back to you. Thank you for your generosity. I can tell you 100% Netflix wants more women's stories across all shows. Netflix isn't buying any male-driven shows. Star Search, dating, and more coming to Netflix. That's a great point by him. Vince, I think it was Brie Bella, one of them, was on a podcast and said that Netflix is in discussions to bring back Total Divas, which was a hit for the E! Entertainment Network, even though it was a WWE show. So that comment right there makes a lot of sense. If they're going to bring the women back on the show and also bring back Total Divas, they want to play into that female demographic, which is how we became gigantic with the Sables, the Chynas, the Trish Stratuses, and the Litas. That was the best time in the history of women's wrestling. So I think that he's onto something.
Yeah, I agree, bro, because Netflix and the Netflix execs, they are not going to have the same mindset as the internet wrestling community. There's the conflict. There's the conflict, Coach, because we know who Triple H wants to please. And like I said, if Netflix is looking at the numbers and a certain direction they may want to be going in, it's quite possible everybody's not on the same page.
I think I thought he was asking about Adam Cole. He was asking about, I think, Hangman Page. Sorry about that. But either way, I still, to me, it's more about Mox than it is about who's going to go after him. I'm sorry. I thought you meant Adam Cole, who's still very, very small. Right now, I feel like, and take the lawsuit out of it, I feel like Mox has done his own thing, and I just don't like the whole plastic bag over the head. I know he likes to be extreme, but I think in 2025, it's antiquated, it's old, and it doesn't play to the masses that have kids at all.
And also, Coach, I think what comes into play here is the relationships, the personal relationships that Tony has with these guys. And that's why you can't be in that spot and have personal relationships with your talent, because now if you do want to take the belt off of Mox, it's not strictly business anymore. And I think that is part of the problem with Tony. He wants to be everybody's friend. That's just the type of human being and individual he is. I get that. But in the wrestling business, man, it can't be that way, Coach.
I can't imagine the Vince ever allowing I remember when Triple H walked into the production meeting for the first time as a talent, it was like the whole room stopped and looked at him like he had three heads. It doesn't make sense, because every wrestler is going to put themselves over every single freaking time. All right, we've got one more segment to get to, and then if you have another super sticker or any more questions, we'll do them at the end, and then we will be out of here because we got a busy day today throughout the BTT universe. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. We absolutely love recording this show live. We think it feels just a lot better, so hopefully you guys do too. All right, let's get back to it. Here we go. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's the Coach and Bro Show on the Stadium Network every single Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, a big topic the last several months has been how TKO Vince has been all about the almighty last dollar. And there's a lot of ways that they've been doing it. They've been very overt, but now we're starting to see a lot of fans that are sending things in because they're so upset at how much they're charging for a normal show, a normal Raw, a normal Smackdown. You sent something in the other day, and I looked at it, and I was like, I cannot believe in Pittsburgh in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, June 30th, they've got tickets, Vince, going for over $1,400. It's bananas. $700. There you go. Look at $700. Have you ever seen anything like this right now?
You know, and Coach,
There, look at that, $1,400.
I want to be clear. I received this from a parent who wanted to take their son. And he sent me this, and I had to keep clicking on the dots to find a cheap.
Yes, me too.
I'm looking at this. I'm like, there's no way. I mean, Coach, you're out there in California. The Dodgers have a star-studded team. They have perhaps the greatest athlete walking the planet in Shohei. They're not charging these kind of ticket prices. Who are we paying to see for this amount of money?
I ran into a person who was actually happy about spending $750 to get a small suite at a show recently. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I know that I'm getting I'm in middle age now, but it hasn't been that long since if you want to go to a major sporting event, Super Bowl is like $1,500, but that's the Super Bowl. I went to the Super Bowl for $1,500.
Right.
And that was the Chiefs against the 49ers years ago. That was face value. Vince, this is a Raw in June in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And if you're a family that's from a suburb around Pittsburgh, and oh, by the way, West Virginia is not that too far away. Coal miners, they don't make a ton of money. They're hardcore. They work with their hands. And you don't think they'd like to go see Raw one time a year and take their kids because they're in the mines all the time? Of course they would.
Coach, I'm smiling because I swear to you, and I am not exaggerating. On a Saturday night against the New York Mets, me, my dad, my wife, and my daughter, 4 tickets to see the Colorado Rockies. Coach, $7 for 4 tickets. And again, it's the Rocky. We're still seeing the Mets. I'm still seeing Lindor. I'm still seeing Soto. I'm still seeing Alonso. $7 for 4 tickets. Look at the price of these tickets, Coach.
And what is crazy to me, as I try to look at all the different angles, and I understand business is business. I get all of that. I think where they continue to miss the mark is if you want to make a certain number. Okay, well, you've got 8,000 different revenue streams, okay? Why would you not try to charge more to like a Netflix or a business like that and then make the tickets a little bit more affordable? In the PFL, which I'm a big part of, we just started fan-friendly tiers, meaning you can get in for $25. Now, they're all the way at the back, but you can get in the building for $25 because we understand if we want to grow a niche sport like MMA, you've got to allow as many fans as possible in the building.
Yes.
Wrestling is still a niche sport.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And if you want the average fan to come and then tell their friends and tell their neighbors so that you're filling up these arenas every single week, you can't charge $700 to $1,000 for a normal show.
Yeah. And Coach, listen, this is not on your docket for this week. I'm going to try to sneak this on the docket for Friday.
Okay.
Producer, man, put this on the docket for Friday. This was hysterical to me, Coach. And again, I can't let this go by.
Okay.
There was a picture. And, bro, I can't believe it was the day of the show. The day of the show, Triple H and Stephanie were going to the White House. The day of a show. Forget that. That's not even the news. Coach, I popped hysterically. And a viewer pointed this out. A viewer. So that people are not stupid. So the day of the show, Stephanie, Triple H go to the White House and they meet with Robert Kennedy Jr. And they're meeting with him about, young adults fitness and nutrition. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I dare anybody to pull up a list of WWE sponsors. Look at the people sponsoring the show, and these two are promoting health and nutrition. Seriously, like this is what I'm talking about. It's things like this that both sides out of the mouth that are hysterical to me when, Coach, you and I know it's about one thing. That is it.
Wait a second, Vince, you don't think Fireball plays into the fitness and nutrition industry?
I think that should be on every cafeteria menu, grades K through 6, across the nation, Coach. I mean, come on.
What about making sure that Slim Jims are at the cash register when they're
That's what
going
I'm
through?
talking about. It's and the beautiful thing is, Coach, somebody pointed that out to me. Vince, do you know they have A, B, C, D as sponsors? I'm like, yeah, that kind of is a little bit hypocritical.
And Vince, when I think of healthy food and stores where I'm going to get healthy food, 7-Eleven is a place where I'm going to go get hardcore healthy honey buns. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, 7-Eleven. All right, before we get out of here, we got to give Triple H his flowers, because Triple H has superstar by superstar by superstar allowed them to have time off, Vince, to allow them to go become movie stars, to spread their brand. And one of those is our man, Cody Rhodes, who's going to be in the remake of The Naked Gun, one of the great movies of all time.
Coach, wait a minute. We got to do this the right way. You're not giving him the right introduction. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. All right, go ahead, Coach.
Producer man.
Over here, Lieutenant. I think someone murdered my brother.
Please, take a chair.
Thank you.
I'll find them. This is what I do. Says you served 20 years for man's laughter.
You mean manslaughter?
Must have been quite the joke.
They're going to shut down Police Squad if you do not solve this case. Do this by the book.
Show a little respect. Slams his face, his eyebrows come off, his wig. That was Cody right there.
Yeah, I saw it.
That was Cody right there.
Yes.
Oh, God.
A little sidebar. I got to work with Leslie Nielsen at one of the one of the big four. I don't remember what it was, but I got to work with him. Leslie Nielsen, tremendous, hysterical human.
He was the original Naked Gun legend, not Liam Neeson, who you saw in there.
Yes,
Leslie, yeah. Oh my gosh, that Naked One. I think 1 and 2 were good. Then they started to stretch the limits out. So we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to really break down Cody's performance.
Oh yeah,
when we can watch the whole thing here on the show. Yeah. But I like the fact that they're doing it. But you know, like Liv was gone for a month and she's back. I like how they're staggering these as well. Because I wish when I was there I would have been allowed to do stuff, because I got told no all the time.
And I think that's great for the talent. I really, really do. I think exposure like that to mainstream, I think that's great for the talent.
Recently, Damian Priest was doing an interview, and apparently a few years ago, he had a big, major role in a major movie, and Vince told him no.
Yeah.
He told him you can't do it. And I remember talking to The Rock years ago when he left cold turkey. And I remember I said, why can't you come on Mondays and tape your movie Wednesday through Sunday? That way the wrestling fan will stay with you. He's like, well, Coach, it doesn't work that way. You know, we've got, that would be a day. So I don't know. I don't know. I think you could do both and not have to miss Raw, but I also would want to be there. Wouldn't want to be there. I'd want to take the 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off or whatever it is. Vince, well done this week, sir. Well,
had a good time. A lot of hot topics, man, and we will continue on Thursday.
I encourage you to follow my man. He's got a ton of content over at russosbrand.com. Ton of different shows. You'll laugh. You'll learn a lot. All right. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you here next week. Do not forget, 2 times a week, we also have a show on Thursday. We also have the Coach and Company sports and sports betting show right here on Stadium every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's going to do it for now. For my man, Vince Russo from russosbrand.com, for producer man who always makes the show look like $1 million, I am simply the coach. There is only one, the Coach and Bro Show, right here on Stadium. Take care. All right, you crazy kids. Do we have any left? I think we're out of super stickers. Producer man, I'll do our final thoughts if we have any more. Maybe we did have. Oh, we do have a couple. Yes, we do. I knew we did. Savage Aura, Vince.
Oh,
Hey,
like
fellas, I was thinking, when was the last time wrestling had a good plot twist and a reasonable explanation afterwards? That's a great question.
You know, Coach, I was watching because every 2 weeks I review the Attitude Era show that I wrote. And I just saw a scene of Shane McMahon in the TV truck directed to Kevin Dunn and everything. And I'm like, when is the last time we saw a talent go in the TV truck and commentate the show? When is the last time you saw something like that?
Probably DX. I remember DX did it. That was entertaining as hell.
Yes.
Entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
To me, it's about outside the box. And I think, Vince, part of the problem that we run into is now that it's entertainment, now they look at it as we're writing a show that's like Friends or Grey's Anatomy or whatever, a Hollywood show, that in a Hollywood show, everything is in a position to be taped, edited, and that would be a little bit creative. And I remember back when we were live, the crazier the better.
Chaos. Controlled chaos, but chaos, man. Yes. Anything can happen at any time.
When Stone Cold brought in the beer truck, Kurt Angle brought in the milk truck.
Yeah.
You see Mint in the Corvette. I mean, the list goes. The funniest one, though, Vince, was the more difficult stuff that we would do, they'd put on SmackDown because that was taped. And thank God this was not on Raw. But there was a week where all 4 members of the McMahon family were in the ring, and Stone Cold shows up on the big screen. And he's out back, and they have their bus. And it was supposed to be where he has like this big crane, and he drops this cement ball on the bus, and it blows up. Just stuff everywhere, right? Vince, I kid you not. It had to take 30 minutes to try to get this thing to drop on the and they're in the ring in front of the live crowd. Imagine how pissed Vince was getting.
Oh my God, yeah. And
couldn't make it drop.
And that usually never happens to them, man. Never.
Ever.
Yeah.
But you couldn't really practice it other than right? Because once you do it, it's gonna blow.
Yeah.
Dynamite inside. So, but it was hilarious since I wasn't a part of it.
Yeah.
If I'd have been a part of it,
it would have been funny. Yes.
It would have been funny.
Yeah.
We've got another super sticker. Awesome Sauce says, I remember in 1985, WWF ran MSG 4 times in 6 weeks. All sellouts. They probably sold 60,000 tickets in total. WWE now tries to get the same gate for one show. He's right.
Yeah.
You never hear them say highest attended event. It's always highest grossing event.
Right.
Because that's what they look at.
And that's the only people that do it. You never hear what the gate was at a concert or what the gate was as you never hear that only in wrestling. I mean, Coach, I'm not big into MMA. Do they do it that way at MMA?
No,
Crazy.
Except UFC does. UFC does.
Okay.
But who is UFC owned by?
TKO.
TKO.
There you go.
We don't do it. I mean, no. And in certain, can you imagine the NFL, a $15 billion league going, so today, ladies and gentlemen, the highest grossing Sunday afternoon game of all time. Cowboys and the Packers. I'm like, what? No, they say 80,000 are here or 72,000 are here. And because every game's a sellout.
Everything is just so self-serving. I could not believe, Coach, as I was sitting back and watching that Bray Wyatt doc yesterday, and they kept going to Triple H. Bro, if I would have had $1 for every time he said, I did this, I did that, I came up with this, I'm like, bro, the dude is dead. Can we not give him his flowers? Did you have to come up with everything?
It's funny you say that because I've really started to feel, because a lot of fans they're like the last ones. If they really love Triple H or they really love whoever it is, they're the ones that are going to come after us and be the last ones to the party to really look at what's really going on. And I think that's the beauty of our show, is that we look at it from, here's what's really going on. Another thing I don't know if you saw this, but I was like, why would you not take this opportunity to feature one of your biggest stars? So did you see the promo for WrestleMania coming back to Vegas for 2 years in a row. Triple H is on the top of the stadium.
I saw it, man.
Right?
I
They
saw
did
it.
behind the scenes look, 3 drones, super cool how they put it together, all those shots. And I'm saying to myself, Cody Rhodes could have done this. Jay Uso, man, he would have looked like a star on top of that football stadium.
Yeah.
Chelsea, to me, why would you put a person who's not wrestling ever again in that spot to promote WrestleMania coming back? It's such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, man. I don't get it, man, because again, you know, Coach, I'm always going to go back to Vince. And Vince always put the talent out there. Vince only did something when he had to do it. Like when Bob Costas doesn't want Jey Uso, he wants Vince McMahon. Other than that, it was always the talent. Always the talent.
I will say this. There was one time, Vince, where Vince made a gigantic mistake along these same lines. So they launched the XFL in 2001. Like, I'm like 23, 24, whatever. And I'm the only person, by the way, that's ever been a part of the first XFL and the second XFL, 19 years apart. Okay.
That's crazy.
So I remember I got to be in the meeting rooms with him and Dick Ebersol, the legend. And I'm just kind of sitting in the back, listening to these two legends talk, and I'm learning, right? And Vince was always not about himself, as you said. So I thought, oh man, we're going to have The Rock out here. So who do we have? The very first game on NBC.
I hear it. I hear it already. Go ahead, Coach. I hear it.
Welcome to the XFL. Oh my God. I was like, Vince, what are we doing? You were supposed to be as far away from the product as possible. Not on the 50-yard line. Not on the 50-yard line.
Coach, you want to hear? You want to hear something funny, man? I said so many things to Vince and should have been fired so many times, but he knew he couldn't fire me because no one.
You were the man.
Yeah. So, Coach, we were so hot at one time. Vince calls me into his office, and Kevin Dunn and Chris Chambers and everybody. You know, he's got this great idea. He wants to sell to USA Network or whoever a nightly show where Vince just gives his views on what's happening in the world. Like Vince gives his views on the news. Like literally.
Oh my gosh.
Like
okay.
The John Oliver show. He wanted to do something like that. And I'm listening to this and I'm looking at, you know, Kevin and, you know, everybody's nodding their head and he finishes and I'm like, Vince, nobody's going to give a shit what you have to say about. Like, bro, the look on his face. But that was the thing with Vince, bro. When you told him something he knew was true, he could get hot and put on a big show and everything. But he needed somebody to say, brother, that's freaking ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Or he needed a scapegoat, somebody to yell at.
Right.
That was your boy. That was my role. People were like, how'd you get to do so much cool shit? And I was like, because Vince wanted me next to him. So if Triple H or Big Show did something, I was the one that got yelled at.
Yes.
I mean, Afghanistan, I was like a punching bag because Big Show, we never could find him. He was always looking for food in the desert in Afghanistan. Coach, where's Big Show? Where the hell is Big Show? Oh, my God. True story. True story. Oh, my gosh. Oh, God. All right, Vince, great job. We'll be back on Thursday. We've got to all of our super stickers. Tell the people where they can catch all of your other shows at, please.
Yeah, guys, right now, man, just go to patreon.com/Russo TWC. If you've never been a subscriber, you can get a free week. You could sample us the entire week. Patreon.com/Russo TWC.
All right, that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in and allowing us to grow. You guys are absolutely amazing. Every single show gets more and more. So tell all your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and tell your friends to do it as well. If you want to become a premium member, we're going to be adding more premium content as well. It's going to be very, very cool. We're going to start that in the next couple of weeks as well to make it worth your money. For Vince Russo, Producer Man, and Dirt Sheet Dan coming out next week, I am the coach. That'll do it. This has been the Coach and Bro Show. Take care.